Good morning. This is Phyllis Tribby. I am your host today for Wake Up with Toastmasters. With me today, I am your host today for. Sorry about that. I'm just not quick enough to get that sound turned off. I am your host today for Wake Up with Toastmasters. And visiting with me today is Distinguished Toastmaster, past District Director, Guy Dawson. Welcome, Guy.
Good morning, Phyllis. How are you? It's been a while.
Well, yeah, I just saw you yesterday.
Or at least since I've been on this show.
Yes, the last time I had to host by myself, I've got my friends to come on and be with me. And you were generous enough to volunteer. I didn't even have to ask. So thank you for that. For our audience, everyone should know Guy Dawson, but tell us why you joined Toastmasters, how long you've been around.
I have been a member of Toastmasters since March of 2007. Mm-hmm. So I'm in my 15th year. Actually, I'm in my 16th year of being a Toastmaster. And the reason why I joined is I had several friends between 2004 and 2006 who invited me to a couple of different Toastmaster things. I had heard about the organization for years, and I had always been curious about it. And then I had a couple of friends who were longtime members who invited me to participate. The first thing that I ever went to Toastmaster-wise was a kickoff meeting out at Nellis Air Force Base. There was a brand new club that was being chartered. And a good friend of mine named Bobby Butler, he's still a Toastmaster. He's in I'll Drink to That. And we were friends. We had been friends for years. And he goes, you know what, man, you like to talk. I've got a place for you to go. So he invited me to Nellis Air Force Base for the kickoff of the club. And I just really, really enjoyed the experience. I already had met several people, met Jesse Oakley III at that meeting. Met George Gilbert, who was another good friend of mine at that meeting. He was the keynote speaker. And I knew that I would be in Toastmasters from that experience. And then a couple of maybe early 2007, a friend of mine named Gene Puffer said, hey, I want you to come along with me to this club I'm in. It's the oldest club in Las Vegas called Windjammers. Come on and visit one day. And I visited the club, and I've been a Toastmaster ever since. And I just joined because I had goals of things I wanted to work toward in life. And I've always been big on communication, always wanted to grow in that area. And it seemed like from attending the meetings that Toastmaster offered what it was that I was seeking.
And since that time, you've mentioned Windjammers. Are you still at Windjammers? And have you had other clubs that you belong to?
I have been a member of, I still am a member of that club. Yes, consecutively, I've been a member of Windjammers. Through the years, I've been members of many, many clubs, but there's two specific clubs that I'm still a member of. I'm still a member of Holistic Toastmasters. That's a club that we established around 2012, I guess, was when we got that club started. And then Cosmasters Toastmasters, which is the club that we got started a couple of years ago. So yes, but I've had many, many membership experiences through the years in Toast. It's infectious, Phyllis. It's like addicting. I tell people, you get in one club, and for many people, they just get addicted because it's just such a great environment to be in.
Well, I happen to know that the last two clubs you mentioned, you actually started. What is your background in starting clubs? Because I think you've started quite a few.
Yes, well, around 2000 and I guess probably 2012, I had the opportunity to be, to develop this club, Holistic Toastmasters. For me, it was an opportunity to bring Toastmaster principles to an office environment that I was in. I run a public relations and marketing business, and I had an office in a holistic health center. There were all these different practitioners of holistic health, massage therapists, yoga, people who did yoga, all these different people that were about holistic health. And as I was in this office environment, I could see that there were benefits that these members or these potential members could have by being in Toastmasters in their businesses, improving their communication skills. And so we were able to gather together a few members, and that's how Holistic Toastmasters started. You know, Phyllis, I have so much enjoyed what I've learned from Toastmasters and the friends that I've gotten, how it's helped me in my personal and professional development and in my personal life. I always want to share it with people. And I look at people and I just say, there's so much that you could get out of being a Toastmaster. So whether it's starting brand new clubs, I've had a lot of experience with that as well. I just always love sharing this with other people because it's just for someone who really wants to change their life in many ways, Toastmasters has a lot of answers for that, a lot of solutions that can make your life better. And I love sharing that with people.
Talk to me about one of the changes that has happened to you in your 17 years.
Wow, there's many changes, but I talk about this a lot, Phyllis, and I know you've heard me in speeches because Phyllis has been mentoring me since I walked out. I don't know if that was going to be another one of your questions that came up, but when I was in one of my first Toastmaster meetings, this little redheaded lady walked up to me and asked me if I wanted to be a mentor or if I needed a mentor. And I was like, mentor? What is that? You know, what is that? Right. But anyway, she goes, I said, no, I don't have one. And she said, well, you have one now. And that has become part of our relationship. Phyllis has been helping me in this organization since the very beginning. And I really appreciate it, Phyllis, that our relationship that we've developed through these years. But the one thing that I've learned that I didn't expect to learn being in Toastmasters was that listening is your greatest communication skill. Because for me, when I joined Toastmasters, I didn't join because I had a fear of getting up in front of people and speaking. I have had a long, long history from a young age of being a presenter. So that was not my fear joining Toastmasters. What I learned was that I was not as good of a listener. That was my communication skill that I needed definite improvement. There were a lot of things, but the listening aspect of communication really stood out for me. And it's been the biggest eye opener in my 15 years in Toastmasters is that you never are too good of a listener. That is really the communication skill that drives, and this also, Phyllis, is that there's a big difference between being a good communicator and being a good presenter.
Yeah.
And one of the faculties of being a good communicator as compared to a presenter is listening.
Yeah, when you present, you actually just speak, but you have to communicate. You have to know what the other person is thinking. And I think frequently people join Toastmasters not realizing that their mind is talking, deciding what they're going to say next, and not listening to what the person they're talking to is actually saying. So they're so worried about themselves, they don't listen and hear and realize that communication definitely takes a lot of listening, and not to that side talk in the head, but to the person that you're talking with. So there's a big difference between presentation and communication. I think there are many of us that may be afraid of presentation, but they think they're great at communication. And probably it would be reversed if they really looked at it because of this listening skills. So we're talking about new clubs today. Do you have a new title for this year?
Yes, that's one thing about being a Toastmaster is if you stick around here long enough, they're going to ask you to do things. So recently, the club growth director, Scott Tranzu, reached out to me and asked me if I would be willing to help for this year with chartering new clubs for District 115. So I have a title. I'm the club extension chair for District 115 this year.
Well, congratulations. And do we have a goal for this year? How many clubs are we going to form?
We have set a goal of 10 clubs, which is a pretty audacious goal. It takes a lot of work to organize a Toastmaster club. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle when you're trying to put a Toastmaster club together.
And it's not just your work or the work of our club growth director, Scott Tranzu. It is the work of everyone. So we need to talk to those people that are in corporations that could benefit from a Toastmaster club. Is that not true?
It's very helpful. A lot of the greatest leads that we get in terms of starting Toastmaster clubs come from existing members. As you mentioned, Phyllis, we have community clubs and we have corporate clubs. They're the same in a lot of ways, but there are a lot of big differences in them as well. And I know through the years, having started many clubs and been a part of getting a lot of clubs started, is that a lot of the leads came from people who, for instance, work for different corporations here in town, who decided that what they were learning in Toastmasters would be a benefit to their fellow workers. And so they approach their supervisors or people within their corporation and talk about what they've learned in Toastmasters, and then they start to create the lead. So many of our leads come from existing Toastmasters who work in companies or who are a part of community organizations where they can see that members of that organization might be able to benefit from all that we learn in Toastmasters. And so, yes, it's the leads that we get for creating potential clubs often come from our members who are in certain environments where there's groups of people that could really benefit from the communication and leadership skills that we get in Toastmasters.
Well, back when I was in district leadership, or maybe it was when I was division, it seemed to be that many clubs were formed at various churches around town. Are they still a lead for you?
Oh, absolutely. Churches have large congregations, and they have people who they're going to church in the first place. So that means that there's, when you think about it, there's a lot of personal development that goes into attending church and being a part of whatever church you're a part of. There's a lot of leadership and communication that goes in being a part of that community. We've had several churches throughout the years that we've worked with and created Toastmaster clubs. Yes, of course, you only think of the preacher, right? Is the one that's the presenter at the church, generally is the preacher. But the communication skills that it takes to be a part of an organization are vital. And the things that we learn in Toastmasters and the positivity of the environment, I think, is also important, Phyllis. Churches tend to be pretty positive environments. Everyone is there to uplift one another. And Toastmasters is very similar. It's a very supportive and positive environment. And so there's definitely a direct correlation in the church experience and in the things that we do in Toastmasters without the religion. And I think that's why it works so well.
Yes, everybody in Toastmasters is dedicated to your success. Whatever your goals are, your fellow members want you to succeed. And I think that is the most positive thing about Toastmasters, is sometimes you don't do it exactly right, but it's okay, because you're going to get another chance and you'll get better. The more frequently you do something, the better you get at it. And as long as we can keep that positivity going, then we get more members and we get people that reach their goals, and we get people that want to go out and publicize Toastmasters and bring them in so we can change their lives. I truly believe that Toastmasters is for everyone. Do you have that same theory?
I do. Everyone who wants it. No, it's absolutely what you're talking about is so true, is that there are so many different facets of the Toastmaster experience that a person could benefit from. It just depends on what they're looking for. Some people come in, they have professional goals. They want to grow. That was me. I had a goal that I wanted to be a professional speaker when I joined Toastmasters. I had very specific professional goals. And we see that a lot where people are wanting to rise in their career, or they want to develop skills that are going to help them in what they do. Then you have certain people that join Toastmasters for social reasons. They just want to be around positive people, be in a supportive environment. You have others who join because they want to get over this fear that they have of public speaking. And that's a huge one for so many people, because they say that, I think, 95% of the people, adults, are afraid to stand up in front of a group of people and give a presentation. And there are a lot of people out there who want to do that. They want to break through with that challenge in their life, and they join for that reason. For some people, they're retired and they want to stay active, keep their minds active, stay engaged in things that are stimulating. And Toastmaster meetings help them to do that. So it just depends on where you fit in, and there's so many other reasons why a person would want to join Toastmasters, but it's about you finding that reason why for you. And then you get into the organization, and for me, I know I joined Toastmasters and I got a lot more than I ever could have bargained for when I had my original goals of what I wanted to do in Toastmasters. That's what I found, Phyllis, is that people who get in and they really get it. There's one thing I've discovered is people get it at different time frames, and for some people, they just walk into Toastmasters and they just get it. Right off the bat, they see the benefits in their lives and they just jump in with both feet. Other people, it takes more time for them. They know it's something good for them, but they're on their own pace. I think the self-paced learning that we have in Toastmasters is definitely one of the benefits, that you don't have to be that person. Yes, maybe you jump in and some people, boy, they really, really jump in and they're excited about Toastmasters and they move along very quickly. And you have others who they don't move along as quickly, but they end up with long Toastmaster careers because they can move at their own pace. They don't have to, you're not in competition with other people as a member of Toastmasters. Really, you're in competition with yourself. And I think that that's a critical thing for people to understand also, is that don't compare your progress in Toastmasters to other people. Everyone's on their own journey, and Toastmasters will support your journey no matter what it is.
How true. I do believe that I found by interviewing some people that I am not the only person that did not jump and run when somebody offered me Toastmasters. It took 7 months, and I'm finding that many people that lack the confidence of speaking, even in a group of 3, take a little longer to get there. But when they do, they shine after a while and they start growing. I found interviewing people like Dana Wall-Oakley. It was not her first shot. She'd been offered Toastmasters many times before she finally went to a club meeting and joined. And look at all the things that she's done. And I think that's true of many Toastmasters, that slow and steady wins the race. It's like people telling me that I could be a distinguished Toastmaster. Well, that is one of the highest levels that we can reach in Toastmasters. And did it occur to me when I joined? No. I was going to go to the meetings. I would do the minimum I had to do and get out. And little by little, the Toastmaster group, the people there, always help you stand until you get legs to stand on of your own. And I found it not only challenging, but everybody was inspiring. They all wanted to help. They all want you to succeed. And that's probably why I continued on. It's not the classes themselves, it's the people that you're with, the connections that you make, the sincerity of the members that help you. These are all people that you want to know and want to be part of your life. I have heard of a couple people that simply went to Toastmasters because they were new in town and they knew that they would find good friends in the Toastmaster group. One of them even said she went because she needed a date. She would be available on Friday and Saturday, and she needed to find somebody. And she thought a Toastmaster group would work. So there are many reasons for going to Toastmasters, but what you get out of it is listening skills and confidence, and you learn about protocol, and you learn to listen for ahs and ums and take them out of your language. You even learn some great words to use. So there are so many things in addition to just the meeting. But listening to other people speak and what they talk about is also a great learning experience. So I've had a great time talking with you today, but tell us more about new clubs. What do you want from our audience in the way of assistance with new clubs?
Well, thank you for asking, Phyllis. The real assistance that we want as a district in terms of chartering new clubs is if you are a part of an organization or you know a group of people that you feel would benefit from all that we've talked about, that Toastmasters has to offer, is that you can reach out to Scott Tranzu, who's the club growth director for the district, or any of the district leaders, and let them know that you have a potential lead for a Toastmaster club. We have a whole team of people and a process that we use when we charter new clubs, and we'll go in there and we'll take really good care of them and potentially create something wonderful for a corporation or for a organization that can be extremely helpful. We've talked about so many of the benefits, and all of us who are already in Toastmasters, again, we are the greatest ambassadors for this organization, because I have this phrase I learned a couple of years ago. I was at one of the international conventions, and someone talked to me about this phrase called Toastamonials. And I feel that Toastamonials are one of the greatest tools that we have to share what Toastmasters does. Toastamonials are obviously our testimonials about our own experiences and how being a member of this organization has benefited us. So for you that, again, you're a part of organizations where you can share your testimonials, how you've grown, how you've lost a lot of your fear of public speaking, how you've become more organized in your life. There's so many ways that we grow. So by sharing that with organizations that you're a part of, it could be potentially a lead, and we could help a whole nother group of people to get the benefits of what all of us are getting being in Toastmasters. That's what we're truly seeking, Phyllis, is people out there who can bring us leads for brand new clubs.
For any of our audience, remember on Facebook, you can make a comment. And if you make a comment, it will be read by usually Scott Transit, the growth director, since this is his page. But someone will contact you if you have a lead. We would love to form a new club in any business, any casino, any church, anywhere where we can help people to change their lives. Because really, you don't understand, it truly can change your life. I started out sitting in a corner, talking one-on-one occasionally, and have been in front of 3,500 people to speak. It can change your life. I don't know if I can express to you. You need to come to Toastmasters and give it a shot. Give us a year and see what happens in your life. And Toastmasters only costs one latte from Starbucks a month. $45 every 6 months, so less than $100 a year for something that I feel will extremely benefit you and change your life. Any additional comments about new clubs?
No, nothing in particular. Again, Phyllis, other than you can reach out to the club growth director or the district director if you have potential leads, and we've got a team of people that'll take care of it. Yes, we've got this audacious goal that we're going to charter lots of clubs. Obviously, the last couple of years we've been in the pandemic, and it's been very challenging for Toastmasters as a whole. We've lost a lot of clubs, and that's one of the reasons why we are constantly seeking new leads and wanting to charter new Toastmaster clubs, because it's just a part of the process. Sometimes, for a lot of different reasons, we lose Toastmaster clubs, specifically these last couple of years, just because of the turmoil of the world being in this pandemic. District 115 has lost a lot of clubs, and we want to replenish a lot of the clubs that we've lost. And so through these leads that you bring to us, we can potentially give people the gift of Toastmasters, and at the same time also build our district, which creates more opportunities. You know, having new clubs, Phyllis, and having a strong district. We're still a relatively new district. I think we got started in right before the pandemic. 2019 was when we actually launched District 115. Well, of course, we only had about 6 months before everything changed. And so chartering new clubs is high on our agenda of things that we want to do as a district, because we do it together. Just like Phyllis was talking about, Toastmasters is about we, and the more we's that there are, the greater the experience is for all of us, because we all bring our stories and our experiences. And that's a lot of the growth in Toastmasters, is that we all bring our experiences together and we learn from one another in that way. The more people that we can bring into the organization, the more of those experiences that we have, and we all grow from that. That's also an underrated aspect, I think, Phyllis, of Toastmasters, is we, the people, as members, create the educational experience for one another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for all the information that you have given us today. I hope we get you some leads from this program. I want to tell everyone that Wake Up with Toastmasters is on every weekday at 6 a.m. live, but it continues to be on Facebook. I don't know, maybe 2 years, maybe 3, maybe forever. So you can always go back and look at previous programs. We want to talk also about each month on the second Saturday at 6 p.m. we have our education enrichment night. And I would highly recommend that to all new members or all members that are just looking for a little extra education. Perhaps you need more help with pathways. I found out yesterday that Dana Wall-Oakley will be doing a help desk. So you'll get personal service. She'll have a share screen and go right into the information that you need. So please go to our enrichment night. All the advertisements, I wouldn't call them advertisements, but all of the Zoom information will be in the district newsletter, which will be out on October the 1st. You should receive that. If not, comment on your Wake Up with Toastmasters. I'm on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and tell me about it. And I'll be sure that you get a newsletter. They come from Ken Richardson. If you know his email address, send him one. We're ready to leave the air. I see that Jennifer has been with us. Thank you for joining us, Jennifer. It's nice to have you aboard. And I will say thank you very much to Guy Dawson for coming and visiting with us. It's been great.
Thank you again for having me, Phyllis. Just let me know when you want to wake me up early again one of these days, and I'll come back and we'll talk about something else, right?
Great. Thank you, Guy, and goodbye. Have a great day.